I know I'm not going to be able to go through every single slide, but I've put a whole bunch of stuff there that you can go through it, okay? All right, so these are the things that you need to know and go through. I know with representation of data, that's what we started doing when we were like online learning, okay? So that might be something that you do want to go through, okay? And I will touch upon when we go back to normal school, all right? Now with circuits, you should have a good understanding. We've done lots of questions about it, okay? It is a visual type scenario with those types of things which make life easier. And then programming of data, hardware is what we've been going through recently in the last week or two, okay? So here's a question from 2019. This is about binary addition. Now, what we need to do is show all the carry bits used, okay? Now, the idea is that you're meant to be able to do math and do it in your head on paper, but no calculator. All right. Now, what we need to look at, Emil, obviously not whatever you're Google searching now. Okay. So we got to look at each column. Okay. One thing that makes life easier is doing simple math. Okay. So if you just figure out the actual numbers in decimal, that makes your life easier, okay? So if we look at it, okay, so we got 8, 0 in that, so 2, and then 1, so we've got 11. We've got then 7 in the next one, we've got 3, and that gives us 21. So you should be able to look at it and go, okay, in my binary, okay, I should have, well, these are the decimals, so in this answer it should be 21. The thing is, it's asking you to show all the carry bits used. Okay, so it's not saying can you just do the math, it's also asking you to put any bits that do need to be moved along. Now, oh, cool. So I've just drawn up the columns, which makes my life easier and your life easier. So what you need to do is do math, okay? So we've got, there's 3 ones, so we know that that's 3. So because we have an overflow, okay, because we can only put 1 in this column as a maximum, that means we have 2, okay? And so that goes into the 2 column. Okay, so now when we look at the 2's column, we have a total of 8. Okay, now what actually happens is, because you know you've got 8, you don't need to put it in this column. Okay, just put it all the way in the 8's column because you know you've got a total of 8 there. Okay, so that's 0 in there. We count how many 4's we've got, so we only got 1. Now if we go 1 plus 1, which is 8, or 8 plus 8, that gives us 16, so we actually have a new column there. Okay, and that gives us 0. Now, the thing is, it wants the correct calculation, but it also wants those carry bits. It wants to see what bits actually move. Okay, it's not just what's this number, it's asking you just to write also the bits moving. Yes?
Wait, so when you do this on the thing, would you have to write the ones?
Yeah, it's asking you to show the carry bits, so like if you put 1s in that or whatnot. Yes. All right, so if you draw it on there, if you write a number 1 in that column or like +1 or something, all right, in the actual exam paper, it is written like that in a table, just without all that. Okay, so it's got those 4 main columns. All right, it's just easier for me to draw it on a table like that. Yep.
Wait, so in this example, you given the binary for the numbers?
Yeah, so in the original one, you get the table, but you don't get any of the decimal. Anything in blue you don't get, and anything in red is your own working. I just did it in this table because it's easier for me to fill it in. Okay? Now, this one's a doozy. So, question 32C from that 2019 paper. So we have 4 bytes of data, so 32 bits. That data can be interpreted as many ways, so capital C, cat, or uppercase, then you have 547,47508, and then we have 5.741722 times 10 to the, yep. Now, it's saying that it is correct, okay? But you need to explain with reference, okay, how these 3 interpretations are possible. You do not need to do any calculations, so it's telling you don't do math, okay? It is asking you how can those 3 things be correct in relation to those 4 bytes. First thing you go is cat only has 3 letters. All right? So it's asking for interpretation. Doesn't mean that it has to be 100% correct. Okay? You can take a stab in the dark and say that there's 4 bytes. Maybe the first one tells it it's a capital or uppercase letter. Then the next one is a letter, then a letter, then a letter. Sorry? So you could say something like that. You could say that that number is represented by the binary, and then you could say that this number is also represented by those bytes there. It's not asking you to like prove it, do the math on those things. It's asking you to get that information. Now, so they've said as an example that there's 8 bits, there's 3 letters in ASCII. Okay, so the first byte's saying how long or how many digits there are. So if you actually have a look at that first byte, it's actually 3 in binary. So it's saying that there's 3 letters. Okay, you can infer that it would be like a capital letter. Okay, now when it comes to the integer or whatnot, okay, it is showing you that yes, those numbers do make sense. Okay, you can look at it and go, oh yeah, that is correct numbers or whatnot. But you need to say, what does it actually do? Give an explanation of why. Okay, don't just say that it does. Okay. The bytes can be represented as a single floating point representation consisting of a sign, exponent, and mantissa. Now, with those there, okay, you can say that it does get broken up in that way. Okay. Now, this is really hard for people to get 4 marks. Okay, because they really need to look into it and try and really look into it and try and figure out why those 3 things make sense. Now, in your exam, you have about, what was it? I think it's about 1 minute and 20 seconds you have for a mark in your exam. Okay, so if this is a 4-mark question, you've got 4, maybe 5 minutes to answer. But the thing is that you do have to sit there and kind of go through, is this actually useful for me to write so much about it? Yeah.
In this question, would you have to account for why the numbers themselves are different?
Yeah. That would be good to show that the numbers are different in those 2 examples here.
So what would you write about that then?
Well, because you're talking about because you can see this is a floating point. And so you can say integer, in this case, is a real representation of what's written here, or as close as possible. Whereas this one, you have to look at like the mantissa, you have to look at the exponent.
What's a man?
We did this early on in when we were online learning. All right, I don't want to go through into now you know what to look up when you do nothing on your school holidays. All right, look at the past ones. All right, so the idea is that this is for really high-end students to get that 4 marks. Okay. Now logic gates, you should know these 6 logic gates. If you have problems with them, I don't know where you've been the last couple of months. Now, again, I've added some stuff in there. Now, yes?
Did they give us the Boolean expression like the
Like, I went forward, not backwards. It doesn't do the right thing. Are you talking about the Boolean expression?
Yeah, that.
Some years they have, some years they haven't.
But do they expect you to know it?
Yes.
Uh,
All right. So, we've got half adders, we've got full adders. Now, we have a question here. All right, Ayush, Emil, just hold off. You can do it in your own time. All right, so we're given a full adder. It tells us it's a full adder. Produce a truth table for the circuit. Include the columns for X, Y, and Z. Now, what is a half adder? What's a full adder made up of? 2 half adders. Okay. So the simple thing is, you watch. Oh, also that little hint. Well, why doesn't the box appear? Oh, that's in the other one. I've got to stop doing that. I'm thinking logically. All right, now, one thing with this answer. And I've put it there. Look how many lines there are. That is the legitimate paper. That is the actual amount of lines they give you. Okay? They give you 9 lines. Okay? If they give you 9 lines for a question like this, it means that they really want 9 rows. Okay? When it comes up with a question with truth tables, when they actually give you the lines, it usually means that that's the correct amount. Okay? I think it was 2014, they gave you 2 extra lines. Okay? But this was 2017, they gave you the exact number of lines. Alright, so if we actually draw up our truth table, okay, we do have to go through and show everything. Now, the reason it's only 3 marks is because it's something that people should know. Okay? It's something that you'll learn, and it's something that is standard. Okay? It's not a new type of gate, it's a not new like combination gate or anything like that. It is something that is learned, and that's something that is continued with.
Wait, so if there's a new one, then you have to draw a truth table, it won't probably be 4 marks.
It depends on the severity of the question.
Okay, but if something's like this,
That would probably go 3, definitely, possibly 4.
That's a lot of work.
Yep. Alright. Now,
yeah, it's, you're right, man.
explain the purpose of the OR gate. So, it's 2 half adders. Okay? If we add those 2 half adders, they need to be able to put out the carry. Okay? So this is a 2-mark question, and it literally says explain the purpose of the OR gate in the context, and then it says OR gate allows the carry of 1 from either the 2 half adders into the circuit. When 3 bits are added, the result only contains 2 bits. Like what I just said, by having the 2 half adders and joining them together. Okay, that's essentially that in a very, very shorthand answer. Now, it's 2 marks. Okay, you could get this correct in 2 sentences. Okay, this is about looking at the question and understanding how much effort you need to put in. Okay, I know you're Borco kids. I know you like filling in the lines. But the thing is that yes, your answer might be 4 lines long, and that's fine. But if it's for 2 marks, you don't need any more than 4 sentences at a max. Okay. All right, so when we look at flip-flops and latches, so we've got a set and reset latch, okay? I also just added in the arrow and not Q because sometimes people don't realize or remember, okay? Now a latch holds on to that data, it holds a bit, okay? It only resets or changes when we make it happen. Okay, so if we say, okay, you need a reset, we set off a process that resets it. With a flip-flop, that is when it comes in with a clock, okay? That clock component means it can change at any time that it wishes to. It's checked constantly and can be changed every millisecond. Yes?
Does the clock always have to be an AND gate? Or can it be an AND
So
gate?
it can be an OR gate.
Okay, so with HSC papers and looking at them, a NAND gate is, they've only used a NOR gate once for a flip-flop or a latch in the last 15 years. All the rest have been NANDs. Okay, they do the same thing, but it's easier to just think of it as an AND. Now, again, the main difference is that a flip-flop can change its state at any process time, all right, where a latch holds onto it until we actually force it to change. Now, all right, now this is the thing that really pissed me off in this exam. Considering the following flip-flop circuit, and I think I'll put it in there. What is it really? It's a latch. There's no clock component to it. So it literally told you it's a flip-flop, but it's not. It's a latch. Because there's no clock component to it. Why? I don't know. They just called it a flip-flop. And that's what really annoyed me. And this does happen sometimes where they go, oh, everything's a flip-flop. But latches are like, they're together, but they're different. So this is actually where people got messed up on. Okay, the main thing that we're looking for is a flip-flop holds a bit of data. Okay, that would be its main thing. That is 1 mark. Okay, now you need that second sentence to get those 2 or 3 marks. Okay, it is telling, you're giving an explanation saying the first NAND gate goes into the second NAND gate. Okay, and then this allows it so it can maintain a state until it's deliberately reset. If you said if it's reset through A or B and it's set through A or B, that shows a better understanding. Okay, this is something that you should have a good understanding of. That's why it's a 3 marker. It's something that's standard, that everyone's taught exactly the same. All right, this is where it's a free mark, okay? Because it wants to basically go, anyone from band 2 to 6 can get this right, or get a mark, easy. But the thing is that you need to actually relate it, you actually need to show it, because even though a band 2 kid can get 3 marks, the thing is that you want to they want to make sure everyone understands that, okay? This is more of a thing to say also to teachers. This is really funny to look at, because when you get an exam paper and you look at the questions, you go, oh yeah, I went through that. Oh, I didn't really go through that. Like a lot of teachers, when they look at it, go, oh, why did I ask a question about that? That's something random. The thing is, this is a good check to see, are all teachers doing the same thing? The HSC exams is not just for you to get a mark and go, oh, I can go to uni or go to TAFE or whatever. It is also for us to see, have they been taught the correct thing over and over again? We can look at the school data and go, oh, everyone got question 20 wrong. And you look at it and it's like .508, you know? The thing is like, oh, they asked about this. Okay, so I should focus on that. That's a bad thing, okay? Data streams and packets, okay? So there are 3 main components in it. So the header, the body, the trailer or the footer, okay? So the header gives the computer what data is meant to do, what the data is meant to do, okay? It's meant to come from the device, give it a set of instructions, things like that. The body tells the computer or the device the important things, doesn't need to change coordinates. And then the trailer usually gives some sort of data, say, like a check. All right? With control systems. So, with control systems, you need to have a few things actually happen with them. You need to have sensors and actuators that actually work together. All right? Now, an actuator is anything that moves. Okay? A sensor is anything that collects that data to set something off. Okay? So we have open and closed systems. Okay? So we can see here with an open system. A card reader from a hotel has a sensor that reads your data. When it activates the door to unlock, so that's the actuator, okay, it only does that if the data matches. Okay, so if you've ever been in a hotel or whatever and they've got a card, they write that card as a brand new code every single time someone books that room. That also goes to the door lock as well. So it keeps that until there's a new code put in on the card and in the actual door card reader. Okay, in a closed system, we're looking at something that gives feedback, okay, such as in environmental things. So with an air conditioner, okay, it tests the temperature in the room. Then it changes the air temperature as it's going. That adjusts it as it needs. It doesn't need any human interaction or anything with it, apart from it being turned on. This question sucks because this was a whole A4 page of information just for a question, well, for this very long question. Now, we are told lots of different things. So we're told that we have a header, we have a data block, and then we have a trailer. Ness is nice enough to give us that information in case you forgot the 3 parts of the data stream. Now, it then gives you the rules. So it's saying 1B is a hexadecimal for the control character. So an escape sequence in their case. Now, it tells you that we have typeface, okay, so fonts, and then we have the style. Now, it's giving you that it's 54 NN, okay, then it's escape, capital T, and then it's going to be, NN is going to be the typeface. Now, when it comes to 1B, 53 NN equals escape, S, NN, then we have all those variations. Now, here, where it says the combinations can be made by addition. So for example, they've put there, if you want to underline italic, you go underline, which is 01 plus 02 for underlined. All right, so it's telling you can make combinations of those. It's not set. Now, it also adds in if the word or letters flash. Okay? Now, it's telling you that if it's visible, so VV, that's how long it's visible, and then NN is going to be when the text is not visible. So it's telling you that there's a font or a typeface, different styles, and then it's going to flash. All right, confused? All right, there's a few nodding heads, which is good. then they're nice enough to give you the ASCII table. Why? Because they probably went, there's a whole A4 page of instructions, let's give them a little bit of a hand. So we've got describe the contents of the header and the trailer for a data stream for one of the visual display units. Now, who remembers, well, if I look back at this question, so it's telling us what's the contents of the header and trailer. The only time header and trailer come up is those two words. There's no explanation on it. All right, so everything here relates to the data in that actual data block, okay, or body. This question sucked because a lot of students went 1B. That makes sense. All right, but that's not part of the header because it says that this is the data block that they're giving us. So 1B is within that data block. Okay? So it's asking you to describe the contents for the data stream for one of the visual display units. So it's asking you to describe what is a header, what is a trailer, things like that. So it says, so we've got show understanding of the contents of both header and trailer for this data stream. So it's saying basically the header must contain a start of transmission, the length of the data, okay, gives you information. It's asking you what is in the header indirectly, okay? It is asking you what is in the trailer. Now, this is a question that screwed a lot of people because they went 1B, okay? Also, it's worded funny for this type of scenario, okay? Because everyone's expecting to write something about the typefaces or something like that. This is one that tricks people. And again, in my lovely notes, there's nothing about the header, there's nothing about the trailer. Okay? You're taking a stab in the dark. Yana. Sorry? I think it is. You have a copy, you should be able to move it. No, that was meant to be cut off. I remember the rest of the sentence. This is just two parts that make sense for the answer. Alright, so, Vikram, since you're talking, you want to answer this for me? Alright, you're explaining what?
I was just saying that the first three are like the style, the font of the text, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Korea. Because in the instructions it says like the format is like 1B and then 54 and then the actual font number. So and since it's 02, it's Korea. And then I just gave up after that. I looked at the rest of the line and I was like,
Well, you're not wrong. Okay? Which is good because you start getting the first part. So the idea is that you look at your lovely sheet of data, okay, or instructions, and then you've got to describe the text. So it's easy if I bring up the answer. So it's telling you the font is going to be in Korea. The style is going to be bold and italic. Okay? Now, it is also giving or asking you for the ASCII. Okay? So, we're given a letter C, which is in uppercase. We're then given a letter A. So here, we've got R, uppercase C, 43. We've got our uppercase A in 41. And then we've got our uppercase 54, so that's T. 54, which is uppercase T, not the other way around. Now, when we look at these, we then notice that we then have, okay, so that's our font. Okay, that's our first letter. But then we notice we have that fourth pair of bits. Okay, and that's for the flashing. Okay, so when we actually look at that source material, it gives us the stuff about the flashing, but it doesn't give us too much information. So, you have to pick up on that, yes, it's uppercase letters, that it is in Korea font, it is in bold and italic, but then we get those extra bits on A and T, and that's telling us that it's flashing or not flashing. So, also your favorite word in software, or favorite words, which is substantially correct. Okay, so if you wrote something like it's courier, it's bold and uppercase, bold and italic, and then we've got CAT in uppercase, and some of the letters flash. If you write some of the letters flash, Mark will be like, yep, no worries. Okay, because it shows that you understand those extra bits. All right, but you want to actually make sure that you do get those marks. All right. Explain the effect of omitting 1B. Okay, so I've put in that sequence from before. All right, now, I've drawn it up as a table. Okay, you can draw it up any way you want, but I just draw it up as a table because it's easier to show. Okay, so what it's asking you, okay? If we take away this one here, so 1B, 46, 50, 50, but we still got that 41 there. Okay, it's asking you, what happens if we take that away? Okay, it is asking you, okay, by taking that away, does that change? Well, it changes something. What does it actually change? Okay, now, really, it just changes the flashing. Okay, because we've set an extra number here, which is that fourth set of bits, okay? That sets a flash, but it doesn't match up with what's happening with the T and that. Alright? This question is really annoying. Okay? Alright, cool. So, software development cycle. This is something that you should know, but I'm going through everything. Now, charts, diagrams, modeling tools. What's the other word that what's the other term I could put up there? For charts, diagrams, system modeling tools. Starts with a C. Case tools, okay? Now, alright. Emil, just leave it for a little bit. Alright, just let me go through this because this is going to be very important because I'm about to teach you something new and fun. Alright, so we're going to have these ones that we've already gone through. The next two, which are going to be the fun ones, which I despise, and that's why you're doing it now, is system flowcharts and EBNF railroad diagrams, which is meta languages. We have spoken about it. I have kind of given an idea, but this is where I really want to go into it and say, you need to know this. Now, you know what IPOs, all these things look like, so I've left them there. I've put questions in there for you. Okay, and I've put in the answers and what you should actually be looking for. Okay, so that's more stuff for you to actually look at. Okay, context. All right, so this question, multiple choice. Which of the following is valid? So, what slide are we at? Slide 56. We're on fire. Slide 56. So, which of the following is valid for that IPO going into the data flow? Who's got the biggest, who's realised the biggest hint in this? The shape of the user, well, the external entities, the data store, and the process. No, but that's the main thing that you got to look at. And once you find the right ones there, all right, who says it's A? Who says B? C? D? None of the above? All right, I know you've already got the answers on yours as well, but hoping you don't cheat. All right. This question sucks. So on slide 57, it is asking you to draw a data flow diagram of all that information. So, camp staff must be able to look up a cabin or a student in a cabin print out a list of students for the cabin with their name and their group. Also look up which group the student is in. Now, their example,
Oh,
Wait,
It's also missing dot.
that's a full mark.
wait, cancel. Will be able to draw that? Yes, they are able to.
all right, so this is why it's hidden. So if I go like that, or not. All right, so look up which cabin the student is in. So we've got students, which is external entity, then we've got our camp staff. We need to be able to query it, so they're looking up. And in cabin allocations is a data store. The next part that we need to look at, print out a list of students and their groups. So that means we've got to go and get another data store. We also then need a process to print things out. Okay? And then on the last part, look up which group a student is in. Alright? Now, a few things that people have done differently that does and doesn't need to be in there. This process of allocating groups to cabins, that could be done beforehand. Okay? But there is some sort of process to actually get that information into the system. Okay? Looking at other answers that I've gotten, like when teachers put things together and give it to each other and all that, they actually have teacher as an external entity who enters in that data for then it to be used for the rest of the question. Okay? Data dictionaries, she should be able to understand that you have a name, you have the data type, you have the format you want it in, the number of bits or bytes, how's it going to be displayed, an example or description, okay? Any validation, so if you want it to be always true or false or in date format or something like that. So if we have a look at this, and don't cheat by looking at this one, of course Vikram's cheating. Alright, so if we look at this, we want it to be a weekday, okay? So if we're doing a weekday, it's a word, we want it to be a string. Alright, so every single one's a string. Okay? Now, next one is daytime, so yes or no. Do we want it as a boolean or a string? Or a boolean. Alright, so basically that means they're out, because it's got a string of 3, and it says yes and not y. Okay? So they're gone. The average temperature, we want it so it's 9.6. Alright, so average temperature, integer, no. Alright, it's it's A. For weekday, because Wednesday, Wednesday.
Oh, I thought it was like how many weekdays you had. Why is it 9?
Well, you need 9 letters, so 9.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Wait, so why is the average? Sorry, why is the average temperature for size for storage? Wouldn't it just be one for like?
You could add it so it's 9 point. Well, also temperature goes up into the tens. So if it's like 19.6, so you got 19.6. So you got 4. It's a bit of storage. It needs to go somewhere. So it's a process of elimination. Structure charts. Alright, now I'm going to let you do that in your own time because you know how wonderful these structure chart questions are. If you actually have a look at that slide, I've drawn colour boxes around everything to make life easier, to kind of discern everything. Alright, Gantt charts. You love them, you should know them. Next. Alright, system flow charts. Now, I really need you to listen and pay attention because this is brand new, basically. Alright, we've talked about it, but we've never actually gone through it fully. Now, this is my favorite part. This is in NES's course specifications. Many of these symbols have become outdated as a result of changes in technology. In the course specs, it tells you it's outdated. Why? Because it's still got punch cards. It still has magnetic tape. Now, this is where it's very, 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 very important. You have a picture for paper documents. Online display, that means a monitor, speakers, something that is electronic giving you some sort of display. Why? Because this stuff was invented in like the 1950s and 60s when punch cards and everything were wonderful. Anyway,
So if you did no input output during the exam, you would use a mark instead of online.
input and output is its own thing. This is why structured.
So what's the difference between output and online output?
Because if it turns up on the screen, so if you do math and you say, okay, input 5 numbers.
That means everything you do on a computer is now online input rather than input.
No, input's like you importing data. So if you go 3 averages, like 3 marks get the average, you input mark A, mark B, mark C, and then the output would the average, like after it's processed, it will output something.
Yeah.
That's inside the computer. That's happening inside the CPU. This is where it actually shows you something on a screen or a paper document.
What about online?
Yeah.
So online input was connected to your computer. Keyboard and mouse.
Wait, so you're inputting the.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
What if you're inputting?
How
Yep.
are you inputting otherwise? Wait, sir?
Yeah.
So you have to connect input also to
Yeah, how
combine
else do you-
keyboard.
you-
Because
you
I
should
can
already-
code.
Wait, so how else would you input if not you typing it in input output?
Yeah.
So all that inputs online inputs. We always use that shit.
Alright, now. Alright, shh, shh, shh. I need to go through this and I'll give you an example which makes life a lot easier. So, it still uses input and output as a parallelogram, rhombus, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it still has a process as a rectangle. It still has a decision as a diamond. It still has. That's it. Alright, so it keeps it much the same. Now, telecommunication link is the internet or a phone line. You wish I'm kidding, but no.
Wait, so is that actually line wire?
It's a lightning bolt.
So you have to draw it as that.
It has to be a lightning bolt.
Efficient.
Alright, anyway,
When did we use magnetic
Yeah,
tape?
that's like this.
back in the 50s, 60s, you can put stuff on magnetic tape now. Now, the idea of a system flowchart is it is meant to show the digital and physical parts of a system. Okay? It's meant to show physical parts as well as the digital parts. Because you do have to interact with printers, pieces of paper, magnetic tape, different devices. Now, this is the example Nessa gives you. Alright, so they give you that there's an online input, okay? Then you have a process, it then prints out a piece of paper with the patient information. I gotta remember it's got the laser touch on it, and every time I get too close. After that, it gives you a patient file which saves it. It then goes to a process of consulting someone. They get the details from the input. Then they do the bill process, and then the patient gets a receipt. That also gets saved back onto a consultation file and then goes out to the internet to Medicare. Now, this, I know it sounds like the worst thing ever, but this makes something that you would do normally without thinking, things being printed out, things being saved. It gives you a good visual representation of that. It's not great, but it's visual. Anyway,
Wouldn't you also need a diamond at the beginning for like the patient to like?
no, it's just saying add new patient. Like there's no decision there.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, not a diamond, the rhombus. Sorry, I meant the rhombus.
No, because that's an online input. You're typing it in.
Yeah, but wouldn't you need a rhombus input before?
No, the input's a process, like in your normal flowcharts. I just went through this for Tejas.
Oh.
How can it be manual operation?
Isn't that part of the online thing?
Yeah, they're simplifying things. All right, so this is going to be a fun game. All right, so this is a system flowchart in real life, and this is how I order something. All right, does it actually? All right, so if I want to order a packet of texters, this is the exact process I have to go through. Whiteboard markers. Now, I have to go through this process every single time. Is it the bane of my life? Yes. Is it trash? Yes.
Yeah, but it's funnier when you read it as MS Paint.
Alright. So, this is what happens. And this is the steps that are included. Kalinda, get up. You're going to meet the person that volunteered earlier. Alright, so this is important because I'm going to go through it once. So, I have a need. So, this is a situation. I need to get new whiteboard markers. Okay? So, they're over here. I don't have them yet. Don't touch them. Now, I need to define it. So, I need to find those markers. Where do I find it? I got to get it from Office Max. How do I know or what products and all that they have? I got to pick up a physical catalog. I then have to go through order pages, which are color coded for the different things. No, you can't online order through the Department of Education. This is why I'm going through this.
So you get a catalog and then you still online order through the Department of Education.
No, let me get through this.
Wait, what?
All right, so I get my lovely catalog of stuff. Now, I've gotten it. It's a physical thing. Filling out the purchase order. So I need to look for whatever whiteboard markers are, get the code for it. So if I go, that's chemicals, whiteboard markers, almost there. It's got everything for schools.
Wait, is that
This is an Office Max catalog. So, for my whiteboard markers, it is code 1278401. Alright, so I have to find that code. I have to fill it out onto an purchase order. Now, I did that so that if everyone... No, because then I got a copy of it for later on. Also, so then you can't like take it and order stuff under my own things. Alright, now, I then have to make a photocopy of the purchase. So here's a photocopy of it. So now I have two. I then need to store that copy in a filing cabinet. So I'll shove it over here. Now, I then also have to scan it and put it into the technology network drive. So there's a digital version and a paper copy, and then the original. Now, I then have to take the original purchase order, give it to Miss Plant. Here, Miss Plant now.
MS Paint.
Alright, now, I take it to her down to the front office, then she has to go through the Department of Education's purchasing system.
That's still online order.
So, it is paper. Alright. So, it is paper. I'll give it to Miss Plant. She then has to go online and go through the department's online ordering system. Why? Because the Department of Education only lets a few people at a school to order things. Because then you get teachers or people trying to order 1,000 things, do it incorrectly, whatever. Or someone buys like something really expensive and no one knows about it. So the idea is that there's a paper trail so then people can check up on things, as well as you only have a few people to actually do that purchasing. Okay? Reason we have that is because people have bought stupidly amount of things. They've gone, oh, I want 100 4-packs of whiteboard markers. Why? Because I need 400 markers. Do you really need 400 markers? No. Okay? It's also then there's people who are responsible for checking that stuff. Alright? Supplying. So, Ayush, your Office Max. Get up.
No free markers, man.
Yeah, all the markers. Alright. Oh, I didn't make a copy of the copy.
Why is Miss Office
Why
Max?
is this plant is actually
Office Max. In with Office Max.
Alright, so Office Max gets that order. So Kalinda, give them the order. Now, they then have a copy of it and they store it on their server. I don't have an extra copy, I forgot about that. Here's a paper one. Alright, now shove it into your like. So here is the paper copy, which then becomes digital, because then they store it on their servers. So it's paper and then digital. Now, Office Max then sends the markers with the invoice. So here, have an invoice.
Stonks.
Alright, now Office Max sends it. Alright, so Office Max sends the whiteboard markers and the invoice. Give it the Kalindu.
Which one?
The invoice and the marker. Hold on to the original. Alright, now, what I need to do is then I pick up the whiteboard markers and the invoice because they've been delivered to the school. I now get them. Alright. He must check, so I need to actually open it up. I need to check, hey, I've got markers. It says I've got markers on here. Awesome. Then what I need to do is I need to check that against the photocopied one that I've got in a filing cabinet. So I go, yep, that matches, and then this matches. Then what I need to do, if everything matches up, I sign off on the invoice, and then I take a copy. And so here's a copy. I store it into the filing cabinet. What was that, Yana?
Yeah. This everything matches up.
This is stupid though.
Anyone picked up on that?
Where's the
That's like
money
Vikram.
transfer?
Wait, that's like Vikram saying if we get 1,000 signatures, it will end.
It is.
Wait, no, where's the money transfer?
No, it's at the end.
There's more.
Alright, so
Wait, there's more?
I have signed off on it. I've made a copy of it, so then I store that in the cabinet with a copy of the purchase order. And then I get the original one, it's signed off, and then I give it to Ms. Plant, who then actually put through the payment through the Department of Education's online system. Now, this is what I do if I want to order markers. If I want to order a new, like, Arduino kit, if I want to buy anything through the school, I have to go through those steps. And that's simplified. Because I haven't gone through the stuff that Ms. Plant has to go through.
Is this software on there or is this you just ranting to us?
No, this is what you need to do. Who's waving at us? I can't hear him. Alright. So, this is a system flow chart of everything that just happened. Yeah, you're done.
You haven't been fired yet.
I
Wait, so you have to order everything to Office Max?
No,
Yeah, what do you think?
it's just a good example because I have everything.
Do you think Office Max is a wrong gaming laptop?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Got technology, what is it? Page 411.
So excited.
Magnetic tape.
I want magnetic tape.
Oh my god.
Nah, no gaming laptops.
There's some cassettes.
They probably do. Alright. Alright.
They have Walkman.
What's that? Like 15 minutes to go till lunch. Or I can make it a longer time period. Alright, so we need to begin what we need to do. Okay, I then get my paper, well, I've got to get the Office Max catalog. Find the correct whiteboard markers in this. That's the process.
Oh, wow.
I then fill out. I fill out the original one. Okay, I have to save a digital copy, which is a disk drive, and then I need to make a photocopy of it. Alright, and then I've got to give it to Miss Plant so then she can input the actual data into the online system. That's why it's an online input. Here is my telecommunications link, because it's got a sick lightning bolt in it. Now, that is processed by the Department of Education stuff. Vikram, I'm going to leave you hanging there. Then, it goes to Office Max. They process it, put it on their server, print out an invoice. then the manual operation in it is that they get it and post it. Okay, it comes in a box and I get everything with it. I then get it, I have to do the process of checking it. Now, with the invoice, if it's correct, because I've got a paper invoice, I then have to photocopy that invoice. Alright. I sign it, which is manual. Oh, I'm checking the photocopied original purchase order. Then I photocopy the invoice. And then I give it to her, who then goes through the payment system, and then that ends. Emil.
You know how it says from Office Max receives the order and then they send it? Why is there a link there? Because it's already going to them sending it.
Yeah. It's not the invoice that goes them send it.
Yeah, but they need to put it on their server and produce an invoice that goes with it.
Like they're sending the markers with the invoice, right?
Yeah.
So then why would they send it and then
Oh, shouldn't it invoice?
Yeah, shouldn't it just go like in one line?
Did you say user?
No, not the user.